Tony Pan here, Hupy and Abraham behind the Handlebars series on maintaining your bike. Today we're going to do something called T-Clocks, which is an inspection of your motorcycle before you start riding. We want to go over certain things on the bike to make sure have been maintained, they're in good working order, and your bike is safe. If you want a good guide, Hupy and Abraham has this rider resource kit. If you visit us at the many events that we're at throughout the summer, just ask for your rider resource kit. And it's got some helpful tips in here besides having the T-Clock checklist. And you can do this on your own. When you start your checklist on T-Clocks, T stands for tires. Everything associated with the tires. We're looking at the general appearance of your tires, looking for cracks and rot, dry rot. If you got good tread in there, I'll make sure your tread is good. You want to check your brake pads, check your brakes, and make sure your brakes are able to hold the bike separately. Front brake and rear brake independently holding the bike from creeping. You want to check your rotors. You want to check your pressure. I got my handy Watch for Motorcycles Hupy and Abraham tire pressure gauge. And I'm going to check the pressure on this front tire. It's at 40 pounds. That's the recommended pressure for this particular tire and bike. Always check with your manufacturer of your tire to make sure you know what your cold PSI or pounds per square inch rating is for your particular tire, front and back. C on the T-Clocks list stands for controls, which is your brake controls, your clutch controls, your levers, cables. You want to make sure that they move freely, there's no hang up on them. You want to make sure the brake levers are working completely. If you can have access to looking at your cables, you want to make sure there's no frays in your cables. And the general condition of all your levers. I even check my brake lever under controls, make sure all the things that are controlling different aspects of my motorcycle are in good working order. The L on your T-Clocks list stands for lights. And I like to include with lights also the battery. I check the battery terminals, clean them up, make sure I got good connections. Might even take the connections off and wire brush them or something and get them clean again, make sure there's no corrosion on there. And then I'm going to check all the lights, the headlights, all the reflector lenses, make sure there's no cracks in any of the lenses, make sure your directional signals work, and also check the brake lights. We're on letter O now in T-Clocks, and O stands for oils and fluids. So we're going to check our oil levels, and we want to check the level and the quality of the oil in the primary case. And we also want to check the transmission fluid. C in our T-Clocks checklist stands for chassis, which is your motorcycle frame and everything that holds all the parts together here. When we're checking the chassis, we're checking for rust, cracks, any kind of problems we have with our chassis. But we're also checking part of the chassis with fasteners, making sure all our nuts and bolts are tight. And we also at this point we want to check the tension on the belt drive or the chain drive, depending if you have a chain or a belt for the rear drive. And you can go inside of this cover here and check your primary chain. There's a chain that runs in here. Check that for tightness also. The last letter in our T-Clocks checklist is K, or you might see it in some MSF and other publications as S. Either way, it stands for kickstand or side stand. And what you want to do there is you want to check your kickstand, make sure it's not bent, make sure it's in good shape. You want to check to make sure your spring is intact and it's got tension on it. Otherwise, this kickstand as you ride is going to come down by itself, and that could cause a big problem for you. So you're checking your kickstand, making sure that the spring is tight, there's no bends. If you have a center stand, the same thing, you're checking your center stand on your bike to make sure there's no bends or dents in it, and that it's holding your bike up in the upright position without any problem. If you're getting ready to go out for that first ride of the season, before you even start that motorcycle up, do your T-Clock inspection. Check all your lights, make sure everything's working, your turn signals are working, make sure your tires and brakes are in good working order, you got proper pressure, check your oils and your fluids, your cables for tension and smoothness of operation, and you want to check all your fasteners, make sure nothing shook loose during last year's riding season. Do a simple T-Clock inspection before you take that first ride, and you'll be safe this summer.